What's shaking, y'all? What's popping? Just let everybody know that I'm live real quick. This is the discussion of something that I saw coming. And if many of y'all remember, I talked about this night. Sooner or later, what you're going to see is, you're going to start seeing people get mad. And in this country, as well as neighboring countries in Europe, that's usually what happens. Well, that's what's happened again, but this time in England. Now, England's been the notion of the guillotine, and it was the French, but still, you get the drift. It was in Europe. They also set up the notions of many different forms of torture, so on and so forth, throughout the ages. They've always been somewhat what some people would consider professions of war when it comes to the locals. Everybody grabs up in town square there. And I know a lot about this whole English thing. Let me tell you a little piece of history. I live in the New England states, right? And the New England states, if you look on an English map or a map of England, what you're going to find is you're going to find every last town that's on there, it just has the shore name of New added to it. So, for example, we have a New Britain here in Connecticut. We have a New London here in Connecticut. We have a Norwich here in Connecticut. We have Brunswick, Connecticut. So on and so forth and so on and so forth. And every last one of these was, in its own retrospect, colonized or whatever the case may be, however you want to put it, by the Gnostics or the what do you call those guys? The Protestants and the Pilgrims. They're the ones that invested it to all the way up to Massachusetts from Connecticut, and hence why they call it the New England states. So, one of the things I had mentioned when I went on my diatribes about migration or the migrants, or however you want to define it into where you feel be, one of the things I explained at the time, and I have repeatedly explained, is sooner or later the people are going to start getting mad. They're going to start getting mad. They're going to start getting upset. They're going to start saying to themselves, hey, what can we do? And et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I feel this way and I feel that way or whatever. Well, let me tell you what's going on in England so you guys are not aware. For some years now in England, I have saw a temperament that's been going on over there. And that temperament has been this, that we have loads and loads of people that are coming to England, and not just England, but France, Germany, and many other different parts and locations throughout Europe. And they are coming there, and once they are getting there, because of the situations they occur once they get there, well, at that point, there seems to be some problems. Because as record would show, not even 2 months ago to 3 months ago, I saw a video of people literally sleeping near and around the Eiffel Tower. I talked about this, and now they're over there having the Olympics. A couple months before they started having the Olympics, all throughout Paris, you could go through Paris, you could go through many parts of France, and you would see migrants laying and sleeping on the streets in the dozens. I'm talking about the dozens. If you don't believe me, go look for the footage yourself. You'll see it for yourself. Same thing happened with Germany. Same thing happened with Portugal and many other different European lands. Well, in this particular fraction, it seems to be that this is the English and some parts of Ireland and Scotland that feel this way this time. So the protests are not just centered in England; they're centered in different locales as well. And I think, either way you look at it, it would have to be some type of racism put into it to have the conversation. So I'm gonna have the conversation as light as I possibly can. What you have is you have resources being used, yes. And we learned this by a hotel they tried to burn down. They actually tried to burn down a hotel over there that had migrants staying in there. They literally put something in the door and set it on fire. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, oh my God, what kind of people would do something like this or whatever, whatever? And just as the British Prime Minister announced them and called them, he said hooligans. Hooliganism. He even gave it a term. I ain't never heard nobody say that. Hooliganism. Some and thuggery. I said, geez, the British Prime Minister sound like Uncle Ruckus or somebody. Anyway, I'm trying to throw a little joke in it to express this point. They sat this crowd, they outnumbered the police, and these are far right wingers, meaning these are people that sway towards what you would call a conservative party within Britain's establishment of government. Is well, I can't even say hers royal because they have no power. Parliament has the power. So what happens is here you get in the semblance of what's happening here in New York, in the tri-state area. You have these migrants that are attacking cops. I told you guys a story 3 or 4 times because it made me very upset about the little 14-year-old girl that was accosted. I'm gonna use that word out there in Queens, and the locals took turn to it and handled their business and then called the police as should be. I'm glad that everybody's getting back to traditional ways. See a couple of y'all still out there. Salute to you. So the same thing happened in England, except it happened what I believe was 3 to 4 children. And one in particular, a little girl that everybody put scent on. And this was started these protests. It was her death. And so initially they were blaming this young black man that they thought was a migrant, but come to find out he was a local from one of the local surrounding towns. This was a black man. Yes, he was of African descent, as most people are over there, African descent or either Jamaican or Trinidadian descent or Guyanese. That's their black population in England mostly. Not all, but mostly. Or they come from some remnants of that. And so with that being said, it's funny because when I looked at it, I said, okay, so they got the wrong person. Then I started seeing these videos with them openly attacking black men that were countrymen in the country. Y'all been paying attention to what I'm trying to tell you here. They were attacking black men that were countrymen of the country, not migrants, but countrymen, meaning they had history in England and Britain, surrounding areas. In the case of the person they were accusing, he was born there. It took the news debunking this versus a rumor that they had put out. Where? On social media. See, most of social media seems to be what's navigating these protests and sharing information, most of it false, but sharing information such as these things. If this young man has something to do with this little young girl getting accosted, and this is your base for these riots, and some of the most racist things that I've ever heard of is spoken or whatever the case may be. And my friend, and I remember, I'll tell you two of them. One, my friend Gina, she lives in England. She don't live too far away from where all this stuff is going on. And so, and I've known her for years or whatever. She's always told me, she said, don't be surprised. There's some racist people in England. I said, well, I know. I said, how racist? She said, extremely racist people in England. Then I had one of my teachers, and I remember she was French. She was from France. This is one of my teachers in college. And she told and remarked to me, and she told about how racist France was because her husband was Arabic. And I said, oh, wow, that's interesting. And not to say I didn't believe it at the time or whatever, but when I saw these men out there, and they basically were like the town villagers, they had, pitchforks screaming out, Yorkshire, Yorkshire. They outnumbering the police. Police over there, they don't carry guns. But I think y'all need to go in the lock boxes and go get them because y'all do have them available. I think you need to go in the lock boxes and make them available. Over 400 people arrested. Initially, the first couple of days of this, it was only 4 people arrested. And at that time, the representative, which I'm not going to mention that old broad's name because no matter what I say about this old broad, it ain't going to make a dent in the people that believe in her. She said, oh, hardly anything happened. Hardly anybody was arrested. We have this all under control. She said this 2 days ago. They out there setting fires now. They tried to burn down a hotel, a migrant hotel with people in it, and they stuffed the mattress in the door and lit it on fire, hoping that just that would happen. Burn them out. This was a historic hotel, and they were mad over there because of the pure simple fact they said, we want our hotel back. But here's the counter to this. As I'm sitting there and I'm saying, oh, woe is those people and everything like that or whatever, I had to keep contention in mind of this. There are young girls over there that are getting assaulted by migrant men. I've seen the videos. How dare me ever put them up here on YouTube or even stream them through your StreamYard? But I got them and I keep them and I put them in other places where it's allowed, which you will never find out if you're a person from here. There's only a few selected people that go over to that spot and they know what I'm talking about. Other than that, I don't do that here, and I wouldn't, because they're that grotesque. Where they capture men that are migrants, setting them up just like they do here to catch a predator, coming to meet 13, 14-year-old girls and stuff like that. Yes, Arabic men, African men, French Guinea men, etc., 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 etc. These are all migrants to Germany, France, and all these places. Yes, I see the videos. Catch them red-handed. And then we're left to just, with people we don't know, we don't know their ways. We're left with, oh, well, maybe it's just them. I understand that rhetoric. I understand that type of thinking. I really, really do. I think it's important to understand this type of thinking because this type of thinking comes from a lot of times legitimate places. You can't expect to have the highest a recommendation for you as a crowd or a newcomer or whatever if you're out attacking little girls or trying to meet up with 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds like some of these men were. I've seen the videos. Now, of course, we don't agree with the way they're going about it, running around randomly hitting people in the face. I saw this black man, he was randomly attacked by at least 20 individuals. And I want to give a shout out to that Asian man that came to his defense and started swinging with him. Even though he fell down, he kept swinging with him. This was 2 days ago. Now, as more and more numbers start multiplying, and these people are coming in, and they're flying in from other places. They're coming in from Ireland. They're coming in from Scotland. All the Queen's Court, don't you know? They're flying in from all these different places now to join in the protests. This has been confirmed. They're coming in from different countries, different parts of England, everything else. Places don't even live around it. People don't even live around it. Sound familiar? Same thing that happened at the protests at Columbia University. Same thing that happened with the protests over the war at Columbia University. NYU had to shut down its graduation this year. Were you aware of that? I understand the position that these people are coming from. But at the same time, I don't understand the far right wingers. And trust me, their definition is a lot different than the far right wingers that are here under capitalism. It's two totally different terminologies when you're dealing with. Sounds similar. It's not defined as the same. A far right winger in Europe is not necessarily racist unless they're connected to neo-Nazi parties. Now, they're neo-Nazi party members that have ran for president and all types of different part of parliament and government or whatever throughout Europe. Absolutely yes, especially within the past 10 years. This is absolutely yes, they do exist. But not all of them are involved in that. And don't make that mistake when you have the discussion because you will find very quickly you're flawed in the discussion. We have our own problems and issues here, and I'm going to scream some of them, and I'm going to tell you why I kind of in accordance can understand where they're coming from. Here, and I'll just give you an example of the past 2 or 3 days. The migrants that we have here, or first generation migrants that I've seen and what I've witnessed or whatever, is that many of them are highly, highly racist or have some type of bigotry within them or whatever. There's no denying that. Even if you try to be nice, even if you're like me and you're of both races, Black American and Cuban, and you speak Spanish, a lot of them have a thing just against Black Latinos, period. They don't want to talk to you. They don't care about you. They don't want to have no conversations with you. None of that. All right, that's just what it is. And so it's siempre el blanquito. Okay, blanquito presentado, as we call it. You know what I mean? La reza, la arenas. But la gente latino. You know what I'm talking about. And so what you have is you have these migrants that have never in their life seen anybody that's Black and Latino. They might have heard about it, but they've never seen them. And if it is, it's a rarity to them. Or if, quite frankly, some of them have grown up in such rural places, they've never seen somebody that looked like you a day in their life. You understand what I'm saying? Give me 1 second, guys. And as a result of that, what you have is you have a lot of issues with people. You have a lot of things going on with people, or whatever the case may be, and it's scary. It really is scary. A lot of these guys, they try to intimidate people. Um, I had one day when I was going live. He walked right past me and looked straight at my phone, and y'all heard me say to him and his man, "I will not." Y'all know what I mean. You know what I'm saying? And then it just ended. And then I partially put him on camera just in case I needed to identify his face, just in case he did try to do something. You understand what I'm saying? I've seen instances now where the cops have been assaulted by migrants. I covered the story on location where it happened. I've seen where a 15-year-old migrant boy went up into a store that ain't even that type of hustle in 42nd Street and shoot at one police officer and shoot in the store at the security trying to make his way out and back out from stealing some cheap clothing. You know? So I've seen it. I've recorded it. I went to the Row Hotel when we're speaking of hotels, where they have 2,138 rooms, and each one of those rooms is occupied by a migrant. I've been to the other hotel, the Roosevelt, where there's over 2,000 plus rooms up in there, and they're being occupied. I've gone and done this on film, not just personally, but I've done this on film. Those videos are still here on this channel. So I've covered this, and I covered this a year and a half ago. And most people, I'm just going to go to the video and clip it because most people don't believe me when I said this. I said it at the time. I said the money's going to run out because you can't fund something like that forever contractually. You just can't. The same thing is happening in Europe, all throughout Europe. Like I said, before this Olympics began, you should have saw Paris 4 or 5 months ago. They had people sleeping in front of the Eiffel Tower, migrants that were homeless. Just like you see a lot of them sleeping out in New York City now because a lot of the places are overcrowded. Same thing happens in Paris. Same thing happened in Britain. Same thing happening all throughout England, Germany, Turkey, Spain. Each one of these places that I'm mentioning have their own little outcry and have their festivals with it. The difference between European crowd and I think the United States crowd is they have way less tolerance. They have way less tolerance for this stuff. The migrants that we have, if you're a weak person, I've noticed three things. One, if it's more than two or three of them, they're gonna try to act like they in some boss mode or something like that. So you gotta flex up quick, like yo, what's popping, what's going on? A lot of motherfuckers want to grin it off and act like don't show no point of weakness to these dudes, or they gonna get you. These are street people. You understand what I'm saying? Show no weakness. And so as long as you exert that, which y'all have seen several times, and I videotaped it where I've had them walk up on me, attempt like they're going to do something, or whatever the case may be. Even here locally, it's the same. It's the same thing with a few of them. They'll run around and they'll try to act like they tough guys and they in charge and they running shit or whatever. You're not running nothing. Nothing. But many have the ideology in the back of their mind, we are here to take over. And sad enough to say, this is not the same immigrant that you had from 20 or 30 years ago, any of these parts, United States or England. So when a lot of people sit back and they ask me, well, Davin, how do you feel about the protests or whatever? I'm like, man, I'm kind of like 50-50 with it. I really am. Because I look at the people, like, first of all, somebody said, and I heard them mention the other day, they said, oh, well, we saw, that the Muslim people are attacking. And I said, no, the Muslim people are not attacking. What they're doing is they're retaliating. They retaliate because they're getting attacked by people. And even if they had something to do with it, they didn't have something to do with it. The point is, tempers flare. A lot of these migrants and immigrants do not realize or fail to realize or simply do not care versus the older immigrants that you had coming in before that was part of my father's bunch and many others, that you're in somebody else's country and there were people that were here before you. You understand what I'm saying? And it seems like to me, many have the attitude of, I'm here now. You're going to respect it. And if you don't respect it, there's going to be a problem, almost like threatening somebody. And I'm this sort of temperament. I don't know if they never ran into nobody yet or something. I don't know what it is. But you as an African American or you as even a white man cannot afford to be docile to this type of attitude. You really cannot. Because what it will lead up to, it will lead up to eventually people trying to decimate you and take away your character, even take away your culture. So do I understand what's going on in England? Yeah, yeah. And it's the fault of the same people that are doing the biggest outcries right now. If you really want to get into it, you allowed this situation to happen in Europe because of your pre existing laws and everything like that, which I think you did in good value. But at the same time, these laws were pre existing. The reluctantness of amending laws or the process of amending laws seems to be the bigger problem nowadays, whether it's New York City or whether it's England or any other locale or demographic internationally. At this point, they're going everywhere of different groups or whatever the case may be, some of the same groups. It is not our job to house the world's population in a city, in a state, in an international territory, or otherwise. It is not our business that your country has whatever it has going on and its lack of resources, the GDP allow you to come here. And then once you come here and you get a taste of the economy, it is not up to you to then start acting like, oh, well, it's on now and I'm better than ever. That is not the attitude that we have here in the United States. That is the attitude of people from poverty. And the funny thing about it is, a lot of I speak Spanish, so I know what I'm talking about. If you don't embellish yourself in poverty alongside with them and adorn the tenets of poverty, and Black Americans do the same thing, then a lot of people don't want to talk to you. A lot of white Americans do the same thing too. They don't want to talk to you. We must embellish poverty. I'm not here to embellish poverty or hold it on a totem pole and say, yo, well, my life was rougher, therefore I should get more. Like people think like that. You know what I'm saying? People think like that. Internationally, people think like that. You get to talking to Africans, Africans really think that shit. That's why I refuse to have a conversation of long depth of intellect with a lot of foreign minorities because some of them are so colonized that when you try to have any type of particular conversations, they believe so heavily in the white power structure that they will not even allow their own brother to give them example of anything other than different than that. You don't believe me? Go talk to a Jamaican. Go talk to a not a Rasta. Go talk to a colonized Jamaican. Go talk to a colonized anybody, African, whatever, whatever, Indian, colonized Chinese person. It doesn't matter ethnicity. What you will find is something unilateral. Wherever the tenets are that that population that colonized them injected in them, they speak it as well. So they're gonna have a whole totally different take on this. To them, those people that's migrating there are underneath them. See, in traditional migrant spirit, as you would call it, or you're fleeing a country or whatever, most people have a plan of at least 5 years being in development before they even take on or embark on a trip like that, whether they're poor or rich. So the problem that you have right now in England, I believe, is they feel like they're oversaturated. You have these huge protests. Excuse me, not protests. These huge parades or enclaves or whatever you want to say there of people of the Muslim faith, and they celebrate, of course, Ramadan and two other different ones, and they march through the city. And I think it was this past year, the English population had probably previously been in England for all these different decades. It finally started to feel the gist of, hey, there's way too many people here that I cannot identify with, and way too many of these people here. If you're a Black American or a Black Englander, I think they have come to the contention. I think it's like it's a unilateral decision here. You're acting as if I ain't been here, we ain't got history here, or whatever. You trying to bump me out the way. Like I'm trying to get where you going with this. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, you're dressed like a Black American dude. You talking almost like a Black American dude. I'm confused. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what I'm talking about? Like I can't tell you how many times I have like some like I don't know, Mexican dude, Ecuadorian dude, whatever. This is not a racist statement. This is for real, and they literally emulate the way black dudes talk, dress. It doesn't matter. They do. They emulate the music. If you're rapping, that's black American music. That didn't get its origins in Mexico or Ecuador or Dominican Republic. You get what I'm saying here? Like that's just talking real. So it's like you're born from this black American culture and you're looking like them. And then once you, and I've heard this in England too, and once you're amongst them, dress like them, talking like them, using their slang, emulating their music, emulating their movie characters, etc., 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 you're acting as if you're better than the same people you're emulating. That can cause some confusion and some grist with people, especially when you're trying to throw an element behind it, like you're punking people out here. And I think that's a contention a lot of people have. I've had, until I speak Spanish or they speak Spanish and I speak Spanish back, I've had migrant Latinos. I can tell the difference between Latinos, unlike a video, but I can tell the difference. I can tell the difference between a Dominican and a Honduran. I can tell the difference between a Panamanian. I can tell it's the newer ones. I'm trying to help y'all understand this. And some people will be like, "Oh, well, he's just rambling on. He's like getting into the gist." No, you have to listen to what I'm saying if you're unfamiliar with this, because this exists. It even exists in black culture heavily. And I don't know why people don't want to talk about this partition. They want to talk about the partition of, what happened? How many people got killed? How many people got arrested? I'm going to get to that. But you got to have the facts. Other than that, you go into the conversation as a novice and get bound to lose every time if you come into the conversation as a novice. Don't be a novice. Be a professional. Jesus Christ. A lot of these folks are highly racist. There's no if and a denying it, and if not, they are biased. I had a guy the other night. I was standing somewhere. I was smoking a cigarette. I've been out in this city and this state all my life. Damn near. You understand what I'm saying? And so this man who didn't even speak English, and he was so far away from me, he couldn't see what I was or whatever. He had walked right past me because this other woman had walked past me, and she went into her apartment. The apartment happened to be next to where I was standing. I was just smoking a cigarette because I wanted to smoke a cigarette real quick. I know her and dude are together, so he came outside, acting like he was walking past me, and then stood counter to where I was standing at, as if he was watching me or he was neighborhood watch. But mind you, if you check these same men on any given day, these are the same men that are drunk at 2 o'clock in the evening, drunk at 11 o'clock in the morning. You get what I'm saying here? And if you live in the tri-state, you know what I'm talking about. They even gotten to the point where they'll put on these work vests. Watch them niggas with the work vest on. They'll put on they'll put on the work vest and pretend like they going to work, and really what they want to do is go drink and get washed drunk. And then they go back to their girlfriend's apartments, because very few, rarely of them, this is one thing I found. They find a chick with kids, and the chick with kids and the chick that got an apartment. And then they try to shack up with them real quick. But I have the chest out, acting like they the man. I'm like, nah, Duke, I see right through that. I know dudes that did that shit for years. That's the partition we're dealing with here in America. Now, as far as England is concerned, they're sleeping on the streets. Once again, I will repeat again, up until about 5 to 6 months ago, same thing they did in Vegas when they're having the Grand Prix thing out there. They tried to clean up all the homeless in the area. They did the same thing in Paris, and more y'all need to look into this. They did the same thing in Paris and cleaned up all the homeless that was sleeping around. There were people sleeping near, around, and under the Eiffel Tower. This is no lie. The same steps that y'all see Snoop Dogg and all the people walking through right now, there was homeless people sleeping there. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm saying, okay, these far right wing guys out here and they doing what they doing. Yeah, they throwing some racist taunts or whatever the case may be. But at the same time, they wasn't throwing them for months before that until you started assaulting little girls. And after I've seen video after video after video of migrants over there in England assaulting little girls, trying to meet up with little girls, sexually propositioning girls that were 12, 13 years old. I'm talking about those repeated videos you can go watch. So I have to respect I have to respect the whole candor here and be like at the same time, well shit, they got a point. They got a point. But what you don't have a point is you can't lie and say who the suspect is just because you want to on social media. And this is why I tell a lot of y'all got to start watching these right. I tell y'all all the time for about 3 years now. I say it openly. I watch these far right wing groups all of the time. You know what I'm saying? I asked this question the other day. I said, "How come Umar Johnson he don't talk about them? You scared? You scared to talk about the far right wingers? You scared? Y'all better watch who y'all calling leaders. Y'all calling people leaders because they do a lot of talking. What's your actions? You understand what I'm saying? Umar ain't been out here on the field. Umar been in lecturing, motherfucker, for about 11 years, a couple other ones too. They ain't telling you about this incoming doom that's coming. The same thing that's happening in England is going to happen in the United States. And it's going to be one of the weird moments once again with black and white folks that ain't part of that liberal movement unite once again as they've done before to kick out a common enemy. It's not the fact that I think most people are complaining about the migrants. It's not that. It's within the batches of the migrants, you have rude people, you have disgusting, dirty people, you have people that are criminals, rape, and do all kinds of nefarious type stuff. You have people within those crowds that have not been here in the United States. I was mentioned to you before, INS. And I mentioned it, you heard me, I mentioned it in front of cops and everybody else, and nobody said nothing. They were listening and agreeing with me because they knew I knew what I was talking about. Immigration and Naturalization Services, they usually have an interview. And what they do is if you're a said immigrant or migrant or whatever, they interview you and find out as much as they can possibly about your background, what you've done, what you've been through, and what led you to come into the United States. With that being said, the interview usually lasts about 2 hours, 3 hours tops, or whatever, they get as much information for you. But since they had so much of an influx of migrants come into that shelter system that they have set up as far as the hotels are concerned, what happened was something totally different. They wasn't able to assess everybody that's here and log them and give them the proper interview that they deserve to determine whether or not they were a teacher or a child assault or someone who was a former prisoner. You don't know who's here. You understand what I'm saying? So a lot of these dudes in between, yeah, they might be cool with their drinking buddy, that they drink with at 9 o'clock in the morning. They might be cool with a couple of dudes they hang out with, but a lot of these dudes don't even know their background. Oh, he did this, he did that. Right here in my own town, I did a whole live about it, so you guys can go back and look. There was a dude out here, and he was staring at little kids, and I'm like, yo, I'm thinking to myself, and I said to him, "Esas son niños ahí," and that means in Spanish. Those are kids. And he had nothing to say. And I said, "Oh, wow. Oh, you one of them, huh?" So then he kept doing this little smile thing and acting like he ain't have to say nothing or whatever. And I was really just ready to yoke this little small, diminutive man. You understand what I'm saying? To do something to it. Because it always be these little short, I don't know what it is about these little short Mexican and Peruvian men or whatever. I don't care how brolic you get or whatever, homie. You 5'4". I'm 6'2". You 5'4". You can't whoop me. You understand what I'm saying? But they be telling them in their mind, oh, I can take. No, you can't take me. And you're gonna find that out real quick. You understand what I'm saying? Like I'm little, I've always been little, son. I ain't that little. You know what I'm saying? I'm little, but I ain't that little. You're gonna find that out as soon as you get up on me. A lot of people be thinking that. And as soon as they get up on me, they're like, oh shit, all right, this nigga is like, I'm bigger than you think I am. But it's like it's funny because like this intimidation tactic, because that's what it is, and this taunting of people, or whatever you want to call it, is going on universally. Because I'm hearing people in Chicago say the same thing. Chicago's really on it. I'm hearing people in Florida, even amongst the Latino population down there saying the same thing. I'm hearing people in California say the same thing. I'm hearing people in Texas say the same thing. And they all have the same thing. When it's two or three or four more of them, and it's just one of you or maybe two of you, they want to act like they're ganging up on you or some shit like that. But when it's one of them coming through and it's a whole bunch of us, nobody even thinking twice about bothering them. That's a problem. You understand what I'm saying? And it also can get you in a situation where, like you're seeing right now in England, where a lot of temperament can come out of that. I'm one of those people that can understand that temperament. So as far as what's going on in England or whatever, I'm gonna keep you guys updated or whatever the case may be. But the protests are continuing. These people are mad and they're upset. I know some of y'all might be upset by what I said about this migrant crisis, but I have to take it from the perplexity of what I'm seeing happening here in the New York City tri-state. And it's the same thing almost. You know, it's the taunting, it's the assaults, it's the essay assaults of young kids, young girls specifically, things like that. We can't take an order. We don't even take an order when somebody that's born in America does that type of behavior. So why would I accept when somebody's coming from another country to do that? And for some reason or another, many of these people believe, and I'm putting this out to the African American community, amongst your hundreds of governors, mayors, control of the House of Representatives of any other migrant group, you are number two outside of white Americans, only because of population, of course. But you have the most power as far as Congress and Senate is concerned out of any minority group. I think even with the Latino caucus, it's only like 6% of the House versus 39% of the House that African Americans hold. That's almost half of the House. So you know what I mean? Like when you put all that in perspective, and you're having a black president. For some reason or another, some of these people they believe this. They believe that you're powerless in this country, so they'll sit back and they'll be like, "Ha ha he," because they don't realize your numbers and they're looking at the poor populations of your culture. They're not taking demographic and notice of the rich people of your culture. And the reason they're not doing that because they're used to being around people in poverty their damn self, and the only how can I say it? The only ambition they ever had was to be a star or big fish in a small pond, as it would be so cleverly said, a big fish in a small pond. And that's the mentality of a lot of jibaros, pero la campos, claro, la gente latino. Como ese não diga. Então, don't get me started. Como esse não diga. Tá. So I mean, that's just what it is. And so these jibaros and benibaras, pero la campos, are coming to America with some real messed up attitudes. They know nothing about this country. I told the dude this other day that was selling waters. I bought a water from him or whatever, whatever. And he started trying to brag to me in Spanish. He's like, "Sí, yo tengo mucho chavo." And then he asked me in Spanish, "Where did I work and where do I live?" And then he just started getting more interested. And I told him in Spanish, I was like, "Papi, ya por un momento, okay? Listen, doing this shit, I'm gonna tell you in English because y'all don't speak Spanish, but in English, I told him, I said, yo, listen, you gotta find you a skill because this right here, you ain't gonna make it. You understand what I'm saying? Like you not gonna make it just selling waters and juice." And he thought this. He also thought that because the money he was getting, I guess, on government stipends or whatever, because all those folks that stay at the hotel, and that's another problem that a lot of people in England have too. The money that these people are receiving. I don't know if you know, just recently there was a migrant lady from Venezuela, and they found the receipt that she had left after she was checking the balance of the bank. Now, there's no way to prove that this woman was a migrant. I want to say that, but what she had on there was she had cash assistance of $4,400 and something dollars, and then she had an EBT balance of like something like $13,000. And so it started a discussion because people had already been saying it that these folks were receiving a lot of money freely, but yet and still, like, you'd be surprised. Like that's why I go and sit around that migrant hotel in the morning because I want to see who come out front and is stunting. A lot of times, and I showed you guys on camera, these guys will come out the hotel 6:30 in the morning, they drinking. And they'll sit right across the street from the hotel and drink. And legally they can do it because they're not at the hotel residency. Um, You'll see them come out and they all dressed in the highest and nines of clothes. They smoking, lovely. They having conversations all jovial, everything like that, because they taken care of. They taken care of. And so I think a lot of them are confusing that with actual independence being in New York City tri-state and remaining there. A lot of these people are from Texas. They were in Texas for the longest time, but they come up through places like Laredo and places like that or whatever, whatever. So they know the country life. A lot of them don't know what it was like to be cold until they got here. You understand what I'm saying? They ain't never been cold a day in their life. Same thing with the African migrants, same thing with the Chinese migrants that's mixed in amongst them. It's not just them. I mean, those people, they hold the same attitudes as well. So I don't know if we blame America, American media for that or whatever, whatever, but please spread to your migrant crowd. Things are not the way that you think they are. And you will get twisted real quick when you fuck with the wrong person. You know what I'm saying? And this machismo bullshit ass fuckers, I know it. Um, that shit ain't gonna work here in the New York City tri-state. Somebody gonna get you. I'm just gonna be fair and honest with you. Somebody gonna get you, and I already see some of that going on now. Where you got some of the other Latino, you know what I mean? They not wanting to mix with them at all. There's been situations in New York City and Connecticut and Jersey where people have been jumped or assumed to be migrants, and they're not even migrants. They were born here. You see what I'm saying here? You're getting the contracts. So I just want to say this much, and I'm gonna lean up off of this right now, and I'm gonna come back to it. Do I necessarily think it's a worse thing that's going on over there with the protests? No, I think the world needs to see it. I think the world needs to see what a lot of people are scared to talk about, especially in New York, because you notice whenever I'm talking about this stuff, do you ever see anybody stop me and say, "Oh no, don't say that"? You never do you? And that's why I go into the center and squares of white folks, because I want y'all to understand and resonate that I grew up around these people, and so I know how they talk. I know what resonates with them and what doesn't. And I try to teach it to y'all through the diatribes that I have. Sometimes, and no disrespect, but some of you blacks and Latinos out here, you say things in a matter of factly way that only resolve and resound around people that look like you. They don't resound outside of people that don't look like you. You understand what I'm saying? And you can have a problem with communication with that in the long run. So you have to be able to resort to expressing yourself a little bit more distinguishedly. You understand what I'm saying? Or what you want, not focus on this on motion and empathy all the time. Emotion, empathy, victim. Motion, empathy, victim. Motion, empathy, victim. That is the way of women. And this is why I told you, and I keep on, and I will continue to say this, that African American culture needs to get back on track and start getting some men of worth. They're not coming in with a hustle, not coming in with the jibber jab sounding like a Sunday school preacher, not coming in with the sassy, oh, we can do this, girl, type of mantra, but somebody that needs to come in and be a leader and be distinguished and be able to speak and talk the way that is intended, not a woman. Not a woman. Not a woman. And there's many reasons I say that you have to be a certain type of woman in that position. And some of the mistakes, I can mention some of them, that have led us to where we're at. I mean, we're talking about voting for Kamala Harris right now. Somebody said the other night, well, it doesn't matter that she was a border czar. It was just a title. That was not just the title. She dealt directly with it. We're not talking about someone that's not in the position. She is the vice president. You're thinking of someone that gets elected to a position that is maybe whatever, whatever, whatever. But no, this is the vice president. So that means if the program fails, the blame goes on her. Is there interaction in the program that can be documented by her? Yes, there is. Is there video footage that can be documented of Kamala Harris and her direct involvement and not only visiting, but being there several times? It wasn't documented on TV, but you had to go to certain different partitions of the internet, if you know what I mean, to find it. But it's there. It's there. Oh, Kamala Harris directly had a lot to deal with that. See, the problem I have, and I'm just going to segue for about 2 seconds off this because it goes in contention with this conversation. Well, her failure to secure the border, because that was a job she was given, and many people think it was Biden. No, it was Kamala Harris that was given that job, and she wasn't able to govern it adequately enough. Same way she wasn't able to govern, she was investigated when she was out there. She said, "No, we need to keep these women in jail so they can fight these forest fires for us." That's what she said. And when she locked up all these men over weed possession for years, that's what she did. You know, and so these are things that are documented. We ain't got to make them up or whatever the case may be. I'm gonna put up something in a minute. It's gonna shock the heck out of you guys. You're gonna be like, okay, this is definitely what it is. I have never seen in my life with such failure like this, with a woman that locked up other women and kept other women, including mostly minority black women, in jail, in prison. So many women ditch out and give excuses why this woman should be elected and given the position. I've never seen so much enthusiasm for gender over the greater gratitude of the culture. That is the most selfish move. Y'all pay attention because in the past 3 voting cycles, your women, African American women, have not been very loyal to your needs. And in fact, in my opinion, based on a promise, returned almost the culture back to a position of servitude. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. Honestly and truthfully here, and take nothing against it. They told us to vote for Joe Biden, right? Well, we already knew the history of Joe Biden if you really was someone that was educated. You know that Joe Biden was teamed up with segregationists called the Dixiecrats for a number of years, including into the 1980s. Okay? Joe Biden had been around the White House for a very long time, since the early 70s. So he was a slick Willie. Number 3, Joe Biden is the same man that told y'all, you ain't black if you don't vote for me. You know, he said that on Power 105 with Charlamagne the God, and that sucker, he was sitting there backing him at the time too. All of them was. Hillary Clinton up there shaking hot sauce. All went up there at the chicken farm. That's what I like to call it over there, the chicken farm. Power 105, the chicken farm. That's all they do is fry chicken and eat watermelon over there and drink grape soda. Oh, that ain't an assault on the culture. That's an assault on the N words of the culture. Because that's what that is. A lot of your things that y'all sit out here, y'all be like, that's so articulate. I've heard people hear people speak or whatever, and you know from a mile away what this person said is not articulate. What Kamala Harris says is not articulate at all. She's a word salad queen. She jumbles on her words all the time. This woman is a complete, utter idiot. And these women are out here telling us we should vote for this woman based on the fact of only her gender and what reportedly what they wanted to make her race this year. Hey, listen. Hey, you think we can pass off as a black woman? Yeah. All right, let's do it. They done made y'all believe. That's some power right there. Well, black women have made you believe because they announced it. Is this the black girl magic you talk about? You have failed us 2 election cycles now, ladies. You are responsible for most of the crime that's going on with your advocacies about defund the police. Did you know that? Police, if you didn't know this, police are the reason you see so much tyranny going on with a lot of these different homeless folks, mentally ill folks, or whatever, is because they know simple things like this. You know, you can run into a store in New York City right now, and as long as you don't steal more than $1,000 worth of stuff, you're not going to jail. This is absolutely true. As long as you steal under $1,000 worth of stuff, you're not going to jail. Did you know that Alvin Braggs, who was a New York City prosecutor, in fact, the person that prosecuted Trump and failed miserably, if you ask me, he thinks that the counts that he got were a winner. He lost. And he's going to have a hard time after he gets out of that position. Trust me when I tell you that. Even with advisement of the ex-mayor at that time, if he doesn't win another election, he's still going to be at a loss. I can guarantee you that his name will always be stained from taking that case. But he'll find out himself. You know what I'm saying? That ain't for me to say. But I will tell you this. Here's a problem. that's going on currently that Kamala Harris can't fix. Donald Trump got to fix it. Kamala Harris, you cannot be left in charge of a problem you created. That doesn't make sense to people. She created this problem, at least on paper. That's where it's acknowledged that she created this problem. She oversaw the border. She was in charge of the border. She was giving directions on how to handle stuff. Joe Biden has been dealing with this stuff for over 30 years. As like I said, he's been around the constituency of the White House since the 1970s as a Dixiecrat. And y'all talking about putting kooky Kamala into the White House only because of her gender and race. Ladies, y'all starting to look desperate for attention. And it's about time people start talking about it. There's already people talking about it, but people are starting to point it out more and more and more as time progresses on. And I got a feeling within the next 2 to 3 years, the opinion collectively, politically, of black women is going to diminish hugely. And the reason is because it's not because of black women in general. No, 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 no. It's for the wahoos within the demographic that they're allowed to speak for them. Oh, I think it's a great idea if we defund the police and then all the areas that have all the drug dealers and the shooters and everybody that just doesn't do anything with their life, we can now give them a full pass when they shoot a gun in the air and accidentally strike a child and the child is demise. Yeah, we can do this now, because we're defunding the police. Basically, the reason the girls did that, listen, if you don't know her, you know what I'm talking about. The reason they did that defund the police thing or whatever, really, the real truth behind it is they wanted to make it easier for criminals. They wanted to make it look like the criminals were what's the name? But listen, homie, like, there's criminals and then there's criminals. You understand what I'm saying? There's criminals and there's criminals. What the fellas have to understand what I'm talking about? There's criminals and there's criminals and there's criminals. Criminal can be a motherfucker that, steal some shit out of the store. Criminals, those are the ones that, you know, hey man, we about to pull this real quick because I gotta do this to get on real quick. You know what I'm saying? But we ain't staying in this. We're gonna do this, take the money, put it there. And it's no criminal. Then it's the lifelong criminal. And that's what they were trying to protect. The nephew Daquan that just got out, he now 34 years old. This is his fifth time out. He ain't got no skills. He don't know how to nail a hammer and a nail. He don't know how to put up a set of curtain rods on a window. He don't know how to do nothing. Or Joey, because I know a whole bunch of Italian guys that went through the same stuff. You know what I'm saying? This is his seventh or eighth time bashing somebody in the head. He already did 10. Now he's doing another 10. What's going on, Kareem? You know what I'm saying? There's these people out there that are like that, And so you have to respect it. Kareem, can you spot me one to write my cash app, bro? I ain't asked these folks here because ain't none of them speak to me. But if you can, $STRINGERBELL80. Somebody told me them folks don't talk to you in the chat room, they don't speak to you, and they just sitting there mumbling or idling. Don't even say nothing to them. Don't even acknowledge them. You know what I'm saying? That's how we doing here. You can't write my cash app or you can't donate or support to the channel, whatever, then we don't pay you no attention here. You know what I'm saying? And trust me, I know how to put edits on everything I say. But Kareem, if you are here, if you're still here, can you write my cash app when you get a chance? I appreciate it very much, man. Appreciate Kareem and Ahmad L and a couple others that come over here. But let me get back to what I was talking about. Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you. African American women have allowed themselves to be put in a position where we have to now question them. There's a huge divide if you're looking at the current demographics, and if you saw this piece that CNN did the other night, they went to this barbershop. I forgot what a barbershop was. It might have been Detroit or something like that. And they were interviewing these men in the barbershop, and they were asking what they were thinking about Trump or what they were thinking about Kamala Harris or whatever. And in my opinion, they went totally left than they thought it was, because these men were all in position with siding with Trump. And only one man was in there, and he was siding with Kamala, kind of. They all unilaterally agreed on the point that they didn't think Trump was a racist except for one guy. They all unilaterally thought on the point that Kamala Harris is definitely not black. I like what Trump said the other day. Trump said, and all of a sudden she was talking. That was, and let me say this too. That was terrible representation. Um, the National Black Press Club or whatever it is or whatever. Y'all need to revamp that shit. Only thing y'all got on y'all squad is a whole bunch of cantankerous, nasty, belligerent, sarcastic women. It seems like I looked at the roster over there. It's just a bunch of like women that are just cantankerous, nasty, belligerent, try to talk and duplicate white women's voices and emotions and actions. It's like it's real like weird. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I always get bugged out when I see some chick that's talking like really extra pro whatever right there. And then you turn around and you listen to her talk. She's like, oh my God, like God, like God, like oh my God. Or like when the they'll be talking all that pro whatever online, and then soon as some people come through that ain't of the culture, all of a sudden they elect to go to the other way, and they're like, "Oh my God, how are you doing? Yeah, great." Like you all peeped it, man. Listen, I think they put her up there because they want her to lose. They want her to lose. And they can't have the argument in public because if they have the argument in public, then what goes with it? Since they want to name her a black woman out of the blue, like hiffle whiffle whiffle do, now you're black just like you. Since they wanted to do that, what it will translate is, oh my God, they didn't want a black woman to win, and it's always these discussions. They hate black women. That seems to be the shield that a lot of weak women use. They hate black women. Anytime I hear somebody say, "Oh, he hate black women," I say, "Oh, that's a weak one. That's a weak one in the bunch." And that's one you could do without. Get rid of your weak links in the culture. Trust me on this. You'll thank me later. The weak women, the weak men that all frail and they bend on victimhood all the time. That's the ones you want to get rid of. And I don't mean rid of like, you know what I'm saying, murk one of them or something. You know what I mean? I do got a heart, you know what I'm saying? Don't pry on my kind heart. I do. What are you talking about here? I'm a hell of a guy. But anyway, and regardless of the point, this is what I'm getting at here. When you get people that are constantly backing things based on gender, sexuality, whatever the case may be, right? Which sooner or later going to happen is you're going to run into a brick wall. Because now what's happening is the culture is overweighing the politics. And that's what happened, I think, when they voted Biden in. The culture outweighed the politics. You can't tell me some man that's had a vivid history of being involved with the Dixiecrats and all kinds of other separatist notions and agendas or whatever is all of a sudden now our top hero, who has done absolutely, in my opinion, nothing for this country since he's been in his constituency. And I think they set that chick up so she will fail and lose. That's what I think. There's no way you nominate that woman for the vice president candidacy with all the other choices that they have available. Did y'all go look and see the other choices they have available? Did you at least go do that? And see who else was up for possible nomination before they just pushed her for the nomination? Did any of y'all do that? Any of you? Now I ain't eating chips. I'm grabbing something out the freezer. It's wrapped in a wrapper. I got you. Now I'm grabbing. I gotta grab me something to snack on, man. Ain't nobody gonna help me out on here, bro. You know what I'm saying? I didn't realize that I'm on my own. Listen, I got whites that won't like me because of what I got to say. So they're not going to support the channel. I definitely got African Americans that are not going to like what I have to say because they don't go with their agenda of wanting a woman just because she's of color and y'all want to lie about what her race is. So I'm not going to have any supporters for the African American community. The Latino community, they're going to always be 50-50 with me just because that's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, any other, I don't, I just had to learn that if I'm going to talk the way I'm going to talk and the way I want to express myself or whatever, I'm just going to have to go with the thing of this. Hey, you're not going to make any money. So that's why I shorten my lives now. You notice I don't get on camera no more, whatever. I give you what you pay for. You know what I'm saying? So, just to get that out the way or whatever. If you wonder, oh, how's he not on camera anymore? When I am on camera, you don't appreciate it. When I do take y'all places, y'all don't appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but y'all, they give the bottom dollar to somebody, which I'm gonna get into in a minute. They give their bottom dollar to somebody that bashes people and I do believe this is why I'm confused when it comes to the politics of these folks. Because on one hand, none of these folks was talking about politics. When I was talking about politics months ago, I said, yo, won't y'all want to talk about something else? Everybody wanted to talk about Jaguar right. Let's talk about Jag. Let's talk about Jag. Jag is the subject. We gotta talk about Jag. And it's so time consuming when you're talking about her because she does so much shit. So it's time consuming. And I just couldn't be that I couldn't be that invested and then I couldn't be that invested anymore and then have to pay attention to other stories. And just to be quite honest, it wasn't that serious to me no more. It just wasn't that serious to me. It just wasn't. And most people would think it would be because of my history with Bad Boy and everything like that, and my continued history of it's never going to stop. You know what I'm saying? That's my legacy. That's who I was with. You know what I'm saying? I'm supposed to throw my shit away because of the way you feel. No, I'm not doing that. Would you throw away if you went to college for 10 years, would you throw that away because the dean at your college got caught out or something like that? No, you wouldn't. So why? Like, that's another thing I had a problem with too. Like, a lot of people online, they ganged up on me or whatever, and say, no, he don't like black women and all this, that. And then they go listen and donate to a dude that cusses out women every night. You know, cusses out one woman in particular every night. And so that's why I want to segue into him. That's enough talking about Kamala. We got enough time to talk about her or whatever. I got some other uploads or whatever. I just didn't want to get too deep into her because it's going to bore people. But what I did want to talk about, and I am going to say your name, is old boy with the crown on his head. I want you to learn something. Because deep down inside there, I think you ain't no more than a man that's hurt, a man that's deprived, man, whatever the heck. But I want to say this about the official King Payne because I heard him talking last night on the little segment you did. And he's talking about, and I ain't gonna say what it is because see, I don't do that sucker stuff y'all do over there. I ain't even gonna do that. You want to find out, you know what his page is. Let him tell you out of his own words. I'm not going to paraphrase what another man said or try to set another man up, but it got to be talked about, huh? It's got to be talked about. So I saw the official King Payne on his page, and he was talking. And as he was talking about something specific or some allegation that somebody thrown out about him. Now, on the scale of allegations to be thrown out about you, that is amongst the worst, and you don't have to worry. Um, you know what I'm saying? I won't even tether the moment to spread something like that about you. You understand what I'm saying? See, I want to show you the difference between, you know what I mean, something. And so I'm not gonna spread that about you, but there was an accusation put out about you from what I've heard. I don't think it's cool the stuff that somebody put out the allegation about you about. But nevertheless, it's an allegation. I watched as you tried to defend yourself last night or whatever. But at the same time, Bubba, you got to understand something. And this is the problem with you, Pork Chop, and many of you that think like Pork Chop and yourself. You think that you so strong that you could just come on, make a proclamation or whatever the case may be, and that is what it is. That ain't how it works. That ain't how it works. And I'm gonna tell you why it don't work like that. See, Bubby, you spent a lot of time calling Puff all kinds of names and sitting on your page and matter of factly talking like, yeah, he did it. I know he did it. They up in there and da 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 da. And you said this all manufacturedly, like you had been around Bad Boy and been around us for years. You ain't never been around none of us. But yet and still you contensed and you proceeded with these conversations. And now the same conversation that you will point to is now coming back to bite you. See what I mean? It doesn't feel too good, does it? You felt cornered, didn't you? Didn't you feel cornered? Yeah, you felt cornered. I can tell by your reaction. You felt cornered. It's okay. It's all right. You felt cornered. You felt fearful. You felt embarrassed. You felt a lot of things, didn't you? And I know you did. Do I think he did what they say he did? Even though he wouldn't do this for me or any of his little minions over there? Absolutely don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. Is he a loudmouth? Yeah. Passive aggressive, obnoxious, condescending, grade grade two a-hole? Yeah. But a toucher? No, I don't think he a toucher. And I had to think about that before I gave my opinion. Not because I thought he was. No, no, no. I live in the New York City tri-state area. My mantra usually is, however you do me, I'm gonna do you that same way. That's usually my mantra. That's usually how I get down. But when it comes to stuff like this, I'm smart enough to know if one of us go down for that type of allegation, then they try to tell all of us go down. Because regardless, if you want to sit here and talk all this physical, whizzical shit, and the only thing I care about is myself and the blah 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 and all this other stuff that you narcissistic, never mind. But whatever terminologies you use in your narcissistic times and your conversations here on YouTube, one of the things I say to you all the time is this. As you're trying to make these stars, these people look like the worst people out there, be advised and pay attention. There will be a time when you have to answer for that stuff. I've been telling you that for a long time, Bubby. I also told you this. It's something that my dad gave me and my sisters a long time ago. And whenever you try to do me wrong, it always comes back. 2 times. Now, I ain't had nothing to do with that. I wouldn't do no sucker shit like that. I'd rather come see you, be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather come see you. You know my style by now. We ain't got to talk about that. But, you know what I'm saying? I'd rather come see you. Start rumors about people and all that stuff. But I hope you know this now, and I hope you have a moment because you say you believe in God so much, right? Even though you say you believe in God, but you holler. You say you believe in God, but you spread bunchanchero and gossip every day. You say you believe in God, but you covered it with the enemy once again on your Crime Stoppers network. And that's what I'm going to call that shit from now on. Until you change that shit up, that's the Crime Stoppers network. And the stuff you doing over there, that's some real police work. You understand what I'm saying? But that's y'all beef. That's y'all beef. I'm just telling you. If you a New York tri-state dude and you went over there and you seen the moves homie was making and he calling the police live on the internet and, you know, checking prison files and all this, I'm like, homie, you doing too much. You're doing way too much for that little bit of YouTube money. Way too much. Now, when the right situation come up and something go down, you know they're gonna be looking at you as a snitch, right? You know that, right? And you may not realize it right now, but trust me, it's gonna come up. They gonna look at you as a snitch. They gonna say, "Oh man, the snitch. I think he snitched on so and so and them too." Watch, it's gonna come up. You understand what I'm saying here? I'm not trying to warn you. I'm just trying to tell you how it's gonna go. I'm very good at these things. Very good at them. It doesn't matter if you don't care or you don't understand. I'm trying to tell you. The stuff you're doing, son, you're doing too much. And that energy comes back on you. And that's what you're getting right now. And it's going to get worse as time progresses. Your first thing was, and I try to tell you, Papa, yo soy latino la cubano. Spiritual. Cristal. All right, you understand? Like, Cristo, the whole part, bro. Like, I try to tell you. I try to warn you. You know what I'm saying? You just didn't believe me. But I'm trying to tell you once again, please listen to me, little bro. I'm gonna call you little bro. You know what I'm saying? Come here, little nigga. Let me talk to you for a second. Slow down the energy that you putting out in the atmosphere before it come back and bite you in the real way. You think what you're doing is positive, and it's only positive when it's defined by yourself. But in the other people's words and look, it's not very positive at all what you're doing over there. In fact, what you're doing over there is very negative. And in my opinion, very coonish, very tap dance-ish. You sitting on no fucking phone. I don't give a fuck what Jaguar. Jaguar said shit about me too. I don't care what Jaguar said. I'm not sitting on no phone with police. When's the next court date? And she's supposed to be in jail, right? This was you. Right after the broadcast that you did before there, talking about, oh my God, I'm a victim. That's what that were. Like you say, that's what that were. You don't understand, do you? Come here, boy. Come here, boy. Sit down right there. I'm gonna tell you one more time. Sit down, boy. Shut up. Sit down. The energy you put out night after night after night after night after night after night. That's why I'm now counting the nights you talk about Jaguar right in succession order. Not because I give a shit. You know what I mean? Not. Because you're obsessed. Obsession is a child of the devil. Vengeance is a attack of the devil. Revenge is a plot of the devil. And all those things, no matter how much you want to accept it or don't accept it, are in the tangent of why what's happening to you is happening to you right now. Same thing with Pork Chop. Same thing with him. Think I don't know what they talking about him too? Even in his case, and I don't like him. I don't like that tag being put on men. I don't like that tag being put on men. And I'm going to tell all you men out here, stop doing that. Even if you don't like the person that you're talking to or the person that's the podcast, will stop doing that. Because when you do that, you basically throw all our towels in the water. You basically throw all our necks out there on behalf of you. And you ain't asked me about nothing. You ain't asked me how I felt. Or a whole bunch of other guys out here that try to fight that same stuff too, because this seems to be the go-to that a lot of women of color specifically want to throw on people nowadays. It's a victim crutch. Some of them are genuine telling the truth. Respect them women. And if you are a man that did something like that, we're not talking about you. We're not talking about you. the jail can have you, and the fellas up in there, they're gonna give you the welcome party when you arrive with your charges. No, I ain't ride with that one. But what I'm gonna tell all you fellas, don't care if you hop online and say, yo, this dude's feet smell like corn chips. I don't care if you say, yo, his mama wear 3 wigs. Stick to stuff like that. Don't put out there that stuff. Because when you put that stuff out, and this go for you too, King Pain, when you put out that stuff, make sure you are inclusive in the thought process that you talking to the culture. But anybody outside the culture is looking at you and grouping you up as, oh, look at all of them like that. All of them like that. But you forgot that part? All that shit you sit over there and act like you know about media, you forgot that part. It's called perception, boy. Sit your ass down in the corner so I can talk to you for a second. Sit your fucking ass down. It's called perception. And you will too much power on this motherfucker to not be aware of perception. So stop sitting around and find something else to talk about. All the you should be practicing on other stuff to talk about anyway. You said you wanted to go big time, didn't you? You said you got the Tasha K play in order. But yet and still you talking about yesterday's news again. That's why them chests went down from 700 to 200 and 300 and something, huh? Number one rule. Number one rule. Even Puff was told this before. Don't get caught up in your own hype. Don't get caught up in your own wannabe superstar. Because the moment you do that, God has this amazing way of coming back and letting you know, no, you just like the rest of them. You just like the rest of them. And you better remember that. See how that thunderbolt went off when I said that? You just like the rest of them. Get in line. Biggest mistake that music artists ever make is they think it's just me. Especially when they hit the epitome of the, the new track or, you know what I mean, debuts the number such and such or whatever. They'd be like, it's just me here at the top. No, there's always somebody else. There's always somebody else. Don't worry about it, it'll pass. You gotta take some jabs like y'all made me take some jabs, I got it so people don't even want to donate to me no more. So some people will be like, yo, you crazy for doing that. No. It's a bigger point in this. And I'm trying to teach y'all a lesson. You gotta make your decisions basis different. You're making decisions based off emotion. I think my decisions based off of logic and how equilibrially can affect many of us if he get pinned with that on YouTube. That leads to other people pinning other YouTubers that are male against the same thing. I don't care if he's gay, straight, whatever he is. I don't care if he was somebody or currently still beefing with or whatever the case may be. I can't allow that to stick on him. And personally, honestly, and truthfully, do I think he's a fucking flake? Yeah. Do I think he does stuff like that? Nah. Nah, I don't think that. Now, do I think he's a gossiping flake that talks entirely too freaking much and talks about the wrong things and does people wrong that we're trying to do right by him? Yeah, I think you're a stupid ass for that. You're going to find that out later on in life. You have a hard problem. And I said this before I seen your clip on that show when they told you Missy Elliott. See, I could have clipped that up and put that up. I said, nah, I ain't gonna do that because that's mean. That's being mean. I'm not a mean person. A lot of people think I'm a mean person. But you came to the table and it was all about you. You insulted people, whatever, whatever. And I'm trying to tell you, my boy, you trying to pick and choose. Oh, I'll be nice to them because I can get something out of them. People that are in positions, they observe people like that and they watch what people say, well, let me see how he treats other people. And once they see how you treat other people, whatever, whatever, they wash their hands of you. If they don't like it, and they do it very quickly. And regardless of it, don't ever rely on your talent. And that's the same thing with the girl down there, that one. Don't rely on her. I'm the most talented one I had. Don't start believing your own hype. That's why you've never heard in history on here me bragging about how many views I got. Go to any video I got. You'll never hear me brag about how many views I got. I mentioned, I'd be like, yo, we did this many views this month or whatever, whatever, as a growth. And I'll mention that in the title. But I've never got on here and repeatedly be like, yeah, we made this much money. Yeah, we got this many likes. Yeah, because I don't care. Because I know, generally speaking, most of the people that are listening to me, they're not going to support me financially. First reason they're not going to support me financially is because of the pure simple fact that I'm a heterosexual male that happens to be of color. And because of the efforts of many African American women out here, including the ones that were in his whole little camp, as we finally saw, they're going to make sure that nobody but women wins for the next 5 to 10 years. So, men, you're going to be on your own. And sooner or later, you'll get the fact that you're going to have to help each other. One thing I will say about the women, they are very coordinated in how they help each other. Did you not see Kamala Harris raise $81 million via women in within 48 hours? They're very intimate when they deal with each other, whatever, whatever. Men will look at you like, oh, real man, da 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 da. This coming from somebody that ain't even never had a daddy. I can't stand when African American men, many of them stand up unless they fit the forte of that. They stand up this indiscriminately and be like, well, real man. And you'd be like, did you grow up with your daddy? You'd be like, no. Then how do you know? Anytime a man come to you with that positive brother Hakeem crap or whatever, whatever, ask him that question. When they say, oh, what a real man, well, did you grow up with your dad? Or he come around or hang out with your uncles, throw football with your cousins or anything like that? Or were you around a whole bunch of girls your whole life? Because this goes into the decision maker. Some men, and I know a lot of y'all don't understand this, but some men, because of the pure simple fact that they grew up around a lot of women, what you're really dealing with in adult mode, I mean, once they hit over 18, you're actually dealing with a man that thinks and rationalizes like a woman, but's in a man's body. And I'm talking about the heterosexual ones. I ain't talking about LGBTQ guys over there. I'm talking about the heterosexual ones. That's what you're getting. But when you're busy pointing your fingers at what's wrong with everybody else and not looking at yourself, self-reflection is very important. Whether you're King Payne or anybody else, self-reflection is very important. And you can push yourself to and try to make yourself believe in something other than what it is. But boy, we see what's happening. Every night you online, you talking about somebody in a negative fashion or how you better than them. You know, when you make that little comment, oh, and I'm dust free and it's dust free, that means you're guiltless. You guiltless, boy? No, boy, you ain't guiltless. You know that, and I know you ain't guiltless. Don't you feel? Ooh, you hear that thunder? Every time I say that, boy, God is with me today. And every time I say that, a thunderbolt come out of nowhere. You don't hear that in the background? That's thunder. As soon as I said that, it's thunders. Not here to bash him. I don't do that silly stuff. I'll bash you, but it ain't gonna be with words. That crack me up sometimes. I'll give you a bash, but it ain't gonna be with no words. That's how I bash. Skull. Anyway, but look, we're not here for that. Listen, my point is this, kid. Watch what you talk about and change that show up. You're viewed as a mean, condescending, passive aggressive, angry man. And you look very angry. Have you ever watched any of your videos back? Because I look angry on mine. See, I can admit it. I be angry. I even tell people, look, I'm getting angry. Let me cut this short because I know my anger is different. My anger is like, all right, what's up? What we doing? You know what I'm saying? Like that's my anger. My anger is like, yo, hand me the hammer. You know what I'm saying? I heard you mention that yesterday too. Stop trying to talk tough online. All right, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't try to talk tough online. You ain't me. It be so many people be trying to emulate me. It's a chick trying to emulate me. She was trying to say, so I'll pull up. Stop copying people's words. You won't do what I do. Trust me on this one. All right. And I know you won't do what I do because you like the little lifestyle that's impending that's coming up on you. You think at least. So I know you ain't gonna do what I do. You ain't gonna jeopardize that. Me on the other hand, I don't care. Never have. That's it. My nickname's professional for a reason. You know what I mean? So listen, man, I'm not trying to get into that with you. I'm not here for that. But what I'm saying is, listen, stop getting online threatening people. Talking about I'll defend myself and all that. Come on, you weren't talking like that 6 months ago. Don't start talking like that now. You know what I'm saying? Don't start talking like that now. You be the lovable girl, hair flip with all that shit. You be that guy. Be that guy. Because when you try to be the other guy, you ain't the other guy. What happens is you would start bringing in the wrong type of people, and that's what you're experiencing, buddy. That's what you're experiencing. So, I want to wish you good luck, regardless. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not a sore loser. I'm gonna win regardless, baby. I'm professional. You know what I'm saying? What am I worried about? But I learned the lesson. I learned that one, I cannot, and I don't care what anybody takes of this, I cannot depend on at least 80% of misandrous, toxic feminist African American women or women from other different genres, excuse me, other different cultures that follow in suit of that also pinpoint and look at me like that. I cannot depend on them financially. I cannot depend as far as supporting the channel or whatever the case may be. It's funny as hell. People out here tell you to get a job. And then, but the first thing is, as soon as you partner up with YouTube for AdSense, and anybody's got AdSense or signed up with it before, y'all know if you had it once before, like I did, you know, one of the first things they do is they say, provide us with your W-2 forms so we could tax this stuff. It gets taxed. So this is a job. Anything that gets taxed is a job. So let's throw that away. That means you're just ignorant. You're not aware of it, or you're trying to do somebody by the, you know what I mean? So but yeah, that's the only thing I would say about you. This yo, Duke, I don't think Duke did that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? I ain't got no reason. I try to hold the nigga down before the nigga turned around on me and did all kinds of shit trying to make it so I couldn't make money, even though I was donating to the nigga and everything. I was like, I'm lost. I'm confused, P. Word, that's your plan the whole time? You know what I'm saying? That was your plan the whole time? Like, I didn't know. But you know what I'm saying? It's all good. I could keep complaining about that, keep talking about that. It ain't gonna matter. The women of the culture of black culture have decided that they're gonna side with that man outside me. That's the bottom line of the figure here. And so what you got to do is you got to just take that in contention and be like, okay, well, cool. This is what it is. That's what it is. They'll sit here and enjoy your content and everything else and be like, nah, we ain't supporting him though. He hates black women. I just heard somebody say that to Umar Johnson the other night. Do you know that? Yeah, it's just that's what I'm trying to tell you. This is a highly used little term. He hates black women, and that is to deter women from dealing with you. Women, and these women won't even speak to the man, ask what he said, ask for details. They'll just take the total. They said this to Umar Johnson. Umar be out here talking the melanated sisters and da. So I see. I told you they'll turn on you too. They'll turn on you too. A lot of y'all guys are running around here like this is 1990 something or the early 2000s. Sister. These chicks don't think like that no more. They don't think like that no more. The average chick you call her sister, she'd be like, huh? Huh? What'd you say? Huh? Sister. I don't know you. She'll be more inclined to try to talk like she's Molly from, the area I actually live in. It'd be funny as hell. I'll be seeing these little girls. I'll be coming out here early in the morning from New York to come out here to work or something like that or whatever. It's common. and they'll be talking so ghetto and stuff like that. And then once they get towards close in here, they'll all of a sudden change up the octave in their voice, and now they're a different person. And they this person that they never relinquish when they're around us. You know what I'm saying? Like you'll never see that personality. Like these people are not as pleasant around people of color as they are when they get around people that are white. It's like it's almost two different freaking personalities that's going on. You know what I'm saying? And so, like when I say 80% or whatever, it seems to be 80% because that's all I can see. Let me tell you something. I watched the post today. I was on another social media app, and I was watching a post today, and it was this women's cruise, right? Let me get back into King Payne in a second, but I just got to tell you about this. It's funny. So I'm watching this thing here, don't you know? And it's a cruise that all these women went on, and every last woman on the boat. It was probably like 30 women that they showed on the boat. Every last one of these broads, they had them scantily clad as much as possible without letting the jiggle pops hang out and the chichos. Pues la gente latino, las mujeres ahí se tú sabes gordita. So, ganan chichos, tú sabes, son muchos chichos, pero eran 30 las mujeres. So anyway, it was a whole bunch of them that was standing there. And there had to be like 32 of them, 33 of them. They were all standing on the boat. And they all had red outfits on. And it's like, come join our cruise. Now, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. Now, mind you, this was a whole bunch of chicks. Every last one of them chicks over there looked like they were over 58, 59 years old. In a bad side of it. Like the only thing they did was sit by a desk every day. They didn't work out. They just let their body go. That's why it's the worst thing. Listen, the best advice I can ever give to you from somebody that worked in an office building and multiple office buildings is that do not let yourself go sitting behind a cubicle. Don't do it to yourself. Don't do it to yourself. When you see your body start to augment and look all weird, hit the gym. Start doing some sit-ups or whatever. If you find yourself in the car more than I don't know, 6 times a week and you're not exercising, make a switch because your body and your spine, especially if it's a car that don't fit you well, your spine will start to augment to the way you're sitting in that car, and your spine will actually get a curvature in it. And the older you get, the harder it is to get rid of. That's why you always could tell when somebody been driving a lot all their life because they walk with this certain type of walk. You can always tell somebody that they ain't worked out in their youth because as they get older, you can see not only do they get weaker, but they get sicker quicker because they always been behind a seat. Fast food seat, car seat, work seat. They sit more than they move. So that's why their body augments to a person that sits all the time. You understand what I'm saying? So keep that in mind. Get your exercise in, especially when you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s. I even go as far as to say early 50s is probably the biggest one. You know what I'm saying? And when I get to that point, we'll see. But you know what I mean? Like that'd probably be the biggest one. You know what I'm saying? Because after that, the hump is just a decline after that. So keep yourself in shape, keep yourself active, get out and walk sometimes. Walking is the best exercise you can do. Don't y'all see? I be walking everywhere. Y'all ever see me driving? And yes, I can drive, but do you ever see me driving? Nah, nobody drives over here really. But the reason I wouldn't even drive like that, even when I had cars, was because of pure simple fact. It's like I don't know. I just like to be around people. That's just me. I don't like sitting in the house and stuff like that. So you know what I mean. But back to King Pay real quick. I just want to finish out with that. Look here, boy. Look here, boy. Get out the gossiping business. I told that big head motherfucker 6 or 7 times in podcasts I did. You're bigger than that. Way bigger than that. But the way you're going about it, and you don't have to believe me, but kid, I've done this before. It ain't gonna work. This is one thing, the YouTube thing. But the way you're going about it, it ain't gonna work that way. For a couple of different reasons, but it ain't gonna work that way. You're gonna soon find that out, and hopefully you'll find that out the light way instead of the hard way. I would hope. If you don't, oh, whatever. That's on you. You made your decision. But I would hope you will find that out. So As far as the little allegations going out about him or whatever the case may be, I don't personally believe that. You know what I'm saying? I know he wouldn't do that for me. His little crew, they definitely wouldn't do that for me. They done made sure I don't ever make a dime on here just by starting rumors about me. Do you believe that? A whole contingency of people said, yo, we gonna stop donating to this person because they said so. That's what I said. I said, if anybody got the power, they can do that right there, or people group together for those type of contingencies, then it's all good. That means that's how you were the whole time. See, what I mean by that is there's a lot of women online that bounce from. I notice this. They bounce from page to page to page, right? And really, a lot of them they don't like men of color. They really don't, or they want to act to be has like they better than you, or whatever the case may be, right? And so, what happens is a lot of times these women they'll start rumors about people. They'll be condescending to you or whatever, but they'll come in a friendly fashion, so you'll think they cool, but they really not cool. That's when people come to be like, "Hey, how are you doing?" I'll be like, let me block you. Too nice. You know what I'm saying? You being too nice. You know what I mean? Like, who sent you? You know what I'm saying? Give me a second. I'm just turning on the light. It's raining outside today. It's been so hot up here. It's been like 90 plus degrees in the freaking tri-state past couple of days or whatever. And today I was supposed to go and hang out. And I knew it was going to rain this afternoon. So I said, nah, I ain't going to do that. You know what I'm saying? I got little chicks and stuff I deal with, but I ain't got no girlfriend. So, like, the chicks I do know, it'd be 50-50. So I probably would have been over there at the beach by myself. You know what I'm saying? Only time chicks nowadays, they want to hang out when they want to hang out. I mean, like, that'd be my life. You know what I'm saying? Well, I got Tuesday. I ain't got to work this week. That's what I mean, like shit like that. You know what I'm saying? They want to hang out when it's convenient for them. You know what I mean? So, it is what it is. What you going to do? I got an umbrella. I hope I got an umbrella. I need to have me a cigarette in a minute. I'm sitting up here talking to y'all. Let me see something. So, because if I ain't making a dime, I'm about to cut this off. Yeah. Let me cut this short. You know what I'm saying? Because I ain't making no money. I don't be stinking up on here. If I ain't on that, there's other stuff I could be doing or whatever. So, y'all go get y'all money to who y'all give it to. Donate to them, and support them and everything like that. And I hope my little diatribe helped.